Welcome back to Dad's Fox Body Garage. It is again another beautiful weekend here in Michigan, Metro Detroit area, and going to be doing a little bit of workout here today. So I think our goals are going to be kind of doing some odds and ends, and I just figured I'd take you along along for the ride, and see what it's like to have these cars as a hobby, and do what you can on a limited budget. Anybody that knows me knows that I try to be as thrifty as possible when working on these cars. I don't have a ton of income, and I do what I can. I'm not complaining. I just do the way I've always done, wheel and deal, and selling car parts on Marketplace, buying, selling. A couple of my latest acquisitions here. I got an SN95 pedal box and a Fox Body pedal box. Honestly, what I'm going to do with these is clean them both up and paint them, because you know how rusty these things get. And put all the switches back on and everything. And we're keeping the Fox Body pedal box for Stormtrooper, because I'd like to put a 5-speed in that, or I should say a stick shift in that. It's not going to be a 5-speed. And we're going to try to do a little bit of work on the 351 build. I'd like to show you how I go about checking for clearances, and how I find a block and kind of start from the ground up on that build. But we're going to try to do everything. We only have so many hours in a day, so I'm going to try to do as much as I can in as little time as possible. And the first thing I want to do is get some things cleaned up that I want to paint. So that stuff can be, drying in the background. And one of those is the engine block. I'd really like to paint the outside of the engine block. So I got to see what colors I have over in the paint cabinet over there. And I if I have time, I bought some degreaser here from, see if you can see that. Yep, Harbor Freight. And I also have a couple cans of degreaser, regular engine degreaser, that I want to start cleaning the engine up as much as I can on Stormtrooper, because we fixed the big oil leaks that we had in the valve covers, but due to the whole engine just being doused in oil, every time I get back from a ride, you can still smell oil. Even though I don't see the dripping patterns anymore, it's just wet with oil. So I think I fixed the leak anyways, but we'll see. I'll get it cleaned up real well and see if we get any more of that burning off smell. But have been driving it quite a lot since we got that fixed. Went out for a couple cruises. Running pretty good. Slow. It's all stock, right? But running well. Haven't really done much with Calypso lately. It's just sitting here chilling till it gets a little warmer, and we're going to attack the convertible top on here. I already have that. I've had it for a couple years. It's been sitting over here waiting. But I did clean up the shop a little bit so you can kind of see the workbench. Oh yeah, and the intake. I'm going to finish stripping the paint off of that intake I bought off of Marketplace. And I think I'm going to try to paint it aluminum color. Just so it has some protection, because it's not new. It looks like it's been well used, but get a fresh coat of paint on there. And I think I'd like to do the engine black, but I don't know if I have any engine enamel that's black. People are probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, you don't see it anyways, really. You see a little bit of the heads, you see the intake manifold, and I'd like to go with a red and black theme on this engine so it matches Stormtrooper, because that is white and has black trim and red accents. So think it'll really tie into all that. So I'm going to get working here. When I see something that's interesting or I want to pass along to you, I'll show you what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'll just give you some status updates. All right, so our paint booth is working pretty well. You'll see our first project is done, dry, our new pedal box. Well, new used pedal box. And we have a dead pedal over there in the paint booth. You see it over there. Got that drying, so I thought we'd move on to the clean room here. And okay, here we are in the clean room, and we're gonna start working on the 351 here. So what I want to do is, maybe this is out of order for some of you guys, but since I got the paint booth open outside and it's not raining, we're gonna continue that painting. But I just wanted to show you a few things as far as what I look for in an engine before I purchase it and rebuild it, because you can save a lot of money by picking the right block. And if you remember, if you're a long time subscriber or watcher, I had a different 351, and that was one that I chose poorly. I bought it because it was cheap, thinking that, oh, I'll just get this board out and get some 30 overs and rock and roll. Well, that was before I knew that machine shop cost quadrupled since COVID. So yeah, and it wasn't a roller block, so it kind of had a couple strikes against it. It did have a solid rear main, which, you know, that'll leak like any small block Ford, so that was good. So what I'm going to do now is show you a little bit on this block and why I decided to go this route. It saved me a lot of money in machining, but it did create a bit of a headache when finding pistons. If I would have wanted to just keep with the old pistons and rock and roll them, would have been dirt cheap. And I could have done that. They measured like within spec. But being that I want to try to push this motor to the, 750 horsepower range-ish, not the best idea. So let me spin this around and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So if you look in these engine blocks, or these bores, see this ridge near the top? It's not actually a ridge. You don't feel it, because this is actually the factory lead. They put a factory lead in, kind of like, well, I don't know what it's really for, but it's a couple degrees angle, just to maybe help with the rings going in or something. But if you were to see a well-used block, you'd have a ridge here. There's no ridge. And as you can see, all the hatch marks. So when I went to look at this block, I noticed there was no ridge whatsoever on this thing. Maybe just a little bit of carbon up near the top. And this block has 100,000 miles on it. So it was a well cared for block, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I did have some snap gauges with me. They're not the most accurate in the world, the ones that I have anyways. Snapped a couple bores and they were within tolerance. So not everyone has these tools, I know, but you can look for that ridge. So what I do next, what I did next was I sent this block out to the machine shop, had it, ran through their dishwasher, so to speak, because they didn't hot tank there. They don't do the acid bath. Otherwise, there'd be no rust on the block. But the rust is just, superficial. You can hardly see it. But they run it through their dishwasher. They checked the head decks. They said the head decks were absolutely perfect. Anything to save money. That's where I'm going with this. I mean, if something's flat, it's flat, right? Like when you're machining things, like I used to be a machinist, right? You know, they say clearance is clearance, right? So flat is flat. So I didn't do that, but I did have new cam bearings put in, and they went over the whole block. So being me, I don't believe anything any machine shop says. And being a machinist, I have the tools to check it myself. So what I do is I take one of our good dish rags out of the house and put it on my micrometers, put it in a vise, and set it at 4 inches. Then I take my bore gauge, and again, maybe not everybody has these, but if you're going to be building engines, they're nice to have. This is a Fowler set. Goes all the way up to, well, 4 1/4 inches, I believe, is the max on that one, if you put all the spacers in. But being a Ford, you know, and stock bore, you're looking at 4 inches. So with the mic set, you put your, try to do this one-handed, put this end with the little ball on one end, and then you roll your movable on the other, right? It's the same way as the bore gauge is used. You can see how the 2 wheels on either side, that kind of centers it up in the middle of the bore. So now that that's set, I can bring this over to my engine block here and try to get this on camera here. I just rotate it around and you'll see it's 4 inches, 3 1/2 thousandths. Try to get a better view of that here. Try another bore. It's 4 inches, 4 thousandths. Four inches, 4 thousandths. Now, being that if you check side to side, that's not really the way your cylinder wears. You want to go up and down, right? So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up near the top. 4 inches, 3 1/2 thousandths. And I say you want to check it up near the top. I check it top and bottom. Make sure they're straight, because you really don't want your rings. I mean, I've seen people dingle ball stuff and send it, right? But if you send it out and get it honed, you know, it should be nice and straight. But I check it at the top, check it at the bottom of every hole. And this block falls right into the high limit, which is okay. Actually, I prefer the high limit. You know, when stuff's loose, it's fast, right? So check this whole block, and that checks out really nice. The other thing I'm going to check is the crank with the pistons. So how I do that is I put the, or I should say crank with the rods, not with the pistons. Since we do have a new crank and new rods, I want to do the same kind of thing. Is I want to put the crank in the engine with bearings and set my bore gauge up to what that bore should be, and I'm going to go through and check every single bore, make sure they're all good. Now, I didn't have this line honed, but again, with a flat deck, the block didn't twist, so I don't think I need to have it line honed. And the next thing I would do is put bearings in the connecting rods and check those with my bore gauge, what they're supposed to be, and make sure all my clearances are happy with that. Once my clearances are good, you know, I could go ahead and assemble that. I'm not going to go that far because this whole rotating assembly is going to go out for balancing. I'm just going to check 1 or 2 of these things. I'll probably put the crank in, put some bearings in, do all that kind of stuff. The old way you could do it is plastic gauge, which I'm going to do it both ways because plastic gauge is like $5. And anybody that seen this stuff before, basically you have like a little wax filament, we'll call it, And you put a little piece on every journal. You tighten it down, you torque it to spec, no oil in your bearing. Don't rotate your crank. And then take it back off. And with those little hash marks on your plastic gauge, you actually measure how much squish you have. Let's see if you can see that. Yep. So, and that'll tell you if you have your right clearance. And again, I like to run on a little bit higher side. It means I have more oil, right? As long as you have, enough oil pressure, you're golden. Which I should. I got a brand new milling pump. So right now, like I said, since the paint booth is open, I'm going to mask this up. I just degreased the sides and the front and back with some brake clean. I have some engine enamel primer here, and then I have a few different blacks, all the way from like low gloss black to low gloss black and something else. Oh, here's the other one, semi-gloss. So low gloss and semi-gloss. No idea, but I think I'm going to do a couple coats of low gloss just to get a black, and then do a semi-gloss when I'm done. But I need to find some masking tape and start taping, and then push it out into my spray booth outside there while the sun's still out, and start shooting this thing, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. All right, so we got the engine block in the paint booth here, and so far it's looking pretty good. This is the more like a satin. Didn't go with the semi-gloss yet. It's still wet, so it's kind of shiny. But yeah, looking good. Again, back to our budget build, can of spray paint, well, can of primer first, and then can of spray paint. One can of each is more than enough, and we're going to be golden. So we don't have to paint the heads, because the heads are aluminum here. So I'm going to let that set up a little longer, and maybe when it gets a little tacky, I'll hit it with that semi-gloss, and we'll call it a day on painting the engine. And while that was drying, I just brought the Calypso down and started farting around with that while the paint was drying. But things are coming along. Our marketplace performer RPM intake for the 351 is still looking a little rough. Haven't hit it with the wire brushes yet. I got some little cheapo wire brushes here. I'm going to try to get the remainder of the paint off, at least good enough to, again, hit that with some primer, and then some of this instant metal, what is this? Cast coat aluminum. So that'll make it like new, right? That'll rebuild it. So got that to do. I'll probably start on that in a few. I should probably put my mics back before I knock them out of the vise. We'll catch up with you in a few. All right, guys. So we're nearing the end of another beautiful day, and I just wanted to give you an update and show you the finished products here. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's black, but I think it really turned out nice. Some people will be like, well, why black? You can't see anything, but like I said before, I like it. Like the way the semi-gloss turned out. Doesn't really stand out, but it's just enough. I'm having a hard time getting this pin back in. There we go. And I think the the semi-gloss will clean up better than the matte. You know how the enamels clean up, you know, when you have a higher gloss paint, they just clean up. But yeah, I think that's really neat. So not gonna bother unmasking that right away, because you know, it's kind of keeping the crap off of it. But the intake turned out nice too. You know, I ended up getting the die grinder out, you know, a little 90 here with a wire brush, and you know, stabbing myself a million times with that as they fly off of there into my beard and everything. And got all the paint off and primed it, and then used that aluminum color on there. I think it looks nice. I really do. I did file the top of the letters a little bit on there. Gave them a little more definition versus just the cast shape. You know, just, I don't know, because I wanted to. But I mean, this is kind of the way things go. Had a really good friend stop over, and haven't seen his car yet, so it was neat to see that. Had a cool Vet convertible. Really cool. Sounds awesome. Oh, sounds awesome. But yeah, we you know, solved all the world's problems for a couple hours, so it was a good day. It was a good day. Well, thanks for joining me. I know we didn't get a whole lot done, but I mean, again, this is kind of how it goes when you're rebuilding engines, rebuilding cars. You know, it just takes time, takes money, but a lot of time. And if you plan your project well from the start, you know, start with a good base, like I was saying. If I just wanted to build a, you know, 500 horsepower short block, I could have reused a lot of the parts that this thing came with. But again, like I said, we're building this so someday we can put a blower on this engine, and want to keep it together. You know, the motor in Calypso is probably screaming every time I step on the skinny pedal, but you know, with the horsepower that thing's putting out, and it's holding together. So this is the next step in horsepower and longevity. So thanks again. Please like and subscribe. Message me, send me questions. Love to hear from you. Again, I'll put my my email up here. And until next time, thanks for watching.